What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some.
It was tough on me when I found I was gonna have my son, so it kind of solidified. I got a black girl pregnant. I was a little worried, because I was worried about telling my mom, because the interracial shit don't go down too well in the park, so I didn't know she was gonna react. I just remember I came to the trailer, man. I was like, Mom, got a surprise. What is it? I was like, you're gonna be a grandma. She's like, are you serious? I was like, mm-hmm. She's like, well, bring her by, I want to meet her. I was like, all right, I'll bring her by tomorrow. So I brought her to the trailer, right? And I said, don't walk in initially. I'm gonna give you a signal when it's cool. I don't want you to jump off. So I'm gonna let you know when everything's cool. I just remember when I got to the trailer, I walked out, I said, Mom, about to bring her in. She goes, oh, Gary, I'm so excited to meet her. I can't wait. I made a supper, and for dessert, I made us brownies. I go, speaking of brown, Mom, of all days to make brownies, that was Jesus on my side, yes, because she could have made a carrot cake, but she made brownies that day. I just remember when I walked her into the trailer, that's the only time I've ever heard my mom cuss in her whole life, when I walked in the trailer. I was like, all right, Mom, here she is. She goes, hi, it's nice to meet. What the fuck, Gary? Gary, can I speak to you for a minute? She took me to back to the trailer. She's like, Gary, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you always messing with them black girls, Gary, huh? Come on, Gary, start messing with white girls, okay? Come on, Gary, come to the light. Come to the light. I was like, it's hot out there, Mom. I'm cool in the shade. Stay back here. Because I was like, we did an all-white high school. I tried to go out with white girls growing up. They didn't want to go out with me. I was asking them out. Want to go out? No. Want to go out? No. Want to go out? No. I was like, fuck. And I was 17. I moved to Washington, D.C. A lot of black girls in Washington, D.C., and they liked me. They was asking me out. So I made a decision when I was 17. I was like, fuck who I like. Who likes me, goddammit? This is stupid. I'm going to get some of this shit. First time I had sex with a black girl, I'm a teenager. I don't know any better. I think I'm going to tear it up. I was like, I'm about to tear this up. That fast it was over. I go, oh, shit. And the black girl could have made me feel bad. You quit coming, motherfucker. Get out of my house. But she didn't say that. She go, it's okay, baby. I know it's the bomb. I go, true. So, yeah. Give me some confidence, man. All my white friends was tripping when they found I got a black girl pregnant. They asked me a question. Gary, what's it like? Tell us, what's it like? I've heard stories. Tell us. I don't know. I like it. Shit.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, #GetSome, or search United We Cast. Or you can also watch it on my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/GaryOwenCom. That's where I usually listen to it when I'm on the elliptical, is on YouTube, because there's some visuals that come with it. Little extra bonus on the podcast. Before I get started, I want to give a moment of silence to the 2017 Cincinnati Bengals season. We're going to do that right now. Okay. Now, I haven't been on. It's been about 10 days since I've done the podcast. The reason being two things. I had a sore throat for about 3-4 days, and I didn't want to give the podcast all raspy. So my apologies to everybody that was asking, hey, when your podcast coming up? And I want to shout out everybody in Houston, man. I did 2 weeks in the city, back-to-back weeks, sold out every show, added shows. And Houston's just that market, man. It's a great market. It's a great city to be in for 2 weeks. I just had a good time outside of my sore throat. I was sipping on tea the first week, and the second week I found out miso soup is actually better for my throat while I'm on stage, because I guess there's a lot of salt in it. I must have drank 16 gallons of miso soup. I had my road manager, Brad, on the side of the stage just waiting, and I told him, I said, dude, you have to watch my show. And when I look at you, get to the microwave, heat it up for a minute, and then bring me out some hot miso soup. Because once it got bland, once it got a little cold, didn't really affect me that much, but it got me through. So shouts out to whoever invented miso soup. And I know whoever invented it is not listening to this podcast, and they're probably not alive. But thank you. Thank you for that invention. I appreciate it. Now, this weekend, it's a rare occurrence for me. I've been doing stand-up almost 20 years, and I'm going to Huntsville, Alabama at a new comedy club called Standup Live in Huntsville. Huntsville is one of the few cities in this country I've never been to. I have no idea what to expect. One thing they did say, they do not have a Chipotle in Huntsville. I didn't know that. But the comedy club is directly across the street from a Whole Foods. Wasn't expecting that either. So 2 surprises right there. They don't have a Chipotle, and there's a Whole Foods across the street from the comedy club, which tells me the comedy club is in a great neighborhood. It reminds me of one time I was in the Bay Area and I was riding the BART, which is their tram system there, and I fell asleep. And let me tell you, if you ever go to the Bay Area, learn how to ride the tram system. It is much easier than being stuck on that bridge in traffic and Uber. But I went to the city, to San Francisco, and I had to get back to Pleasanton, California. Now, in a car that might take 45 minutes, but traffic could take an hour, over an hour. On the BART, 30 minutes. So I'm on the BART and I fall asleep. It like rocked me to sleep. And I woke up and I was in Richmond, which is a terrible part of the Bay. That's the hood. And I remember the guy goes, "This is the last stop." And I looked at him like, this ain't my stop. And I remember looking outside the Richmond BART station, and it looked like all the brothers was just waving at me, smiling like, "Come on out. Come on out." I was like, I ain't getting off. And the dude was like, "This is our last stop." I said, "Well, you taking me home then?" I fell asleep. So I had to ride that tram all the way back to the other side of town and then get on another line because I fell asleep to get to Pleasanton. And I just remember, I don't even think I got off in Pleasanton. I just saw FuddRuckers. And I got off because I said, "Look, man, ain't nothing ever popped off at a FuddRuckers. I'm safe." So once I saw FuddRuckers, like, outside the BART station, I was like, okay, I can get off here. There's a FuddRuckers. The FuddRuckers just makes everybody happy. Something about cheeseburgers, fries, milkshakes, and that 50s theme just makes everybody in a better mood. So that's why I said, when they told me there's a Whole Foods across the street, I was like, yeah, I can stay here. Because as a stand-up, I remember my first weekend ever as a headliner at a comedy club. It was called the Comedy Stop in Columbus, Ohio. And the dude that ran it was just a shady dude, man. He had me and the other comic in Section 8 housing. And I didn't know it was Section 8 housing because the comedy club was in the hood of Columbus. It was across the street from this mall. And he put you, I thought it was a little apartment behind the comedy club. Come to find out later, it was Section 8 housing. And looking back on it, I was like, I should have known by people that was hanging out in the parking lot and the other people I saw in the hallway. And he didn't have, the TV didn't work the first week. And I did back-to-back weeks there. I did 2 weeks. And the whole first week, the TV didn't work. And so and this is before laptops. Me and the other comics would be sitting there like, and then the second week comes and he goes, we did like a revolt. We said, dude, we need the TV to work. Because the second week, football was starting, college football was starting. We wanted to watch football on Saturday. So Friday night came, and we would not leave the little apartment until he got cable installed. And the promoter's like, "Nah, man, I'm trying." I said, "Dude, you better call somebody, get this shit hooked up." Because there was a TV in the apartment. There just wasn't cable in it. And we couldn't get any channels unless it was a little fuzzy. So he ended up getting cable that Friday night. And then we both walked over to Comic Club and did the shows that night. But he was so shady, man. Oh, I don't even want to get into it, but he was trying to rip us off with the money. And I talked about that dude when I went to Columbus last time. He actually called in to the Breakfast Club, the New York with Charlemagne and DJ Envy. He called in and tried to call me out, and they just like blew him off. Yeah, Owen acting like I ripped him off back in the day. I'm a respectable businessman. I'm like, dude, everybody knows how you are, bro. Everybody. Dude, this dude, I don't even want to say his name. I'm not going to even give him any shine anywhere on the podcast. Another thing I wanted to get into was I was watching Netflix, and somebody asked me like, dude, what's some good shows on Netflix to watch? And I always ask people this too. And my favorite so far has been Ozark with Jason Bateman. If you haven't seen that series on Netflix, it's only been 10 episodes, one season. Do yourself a favor and watch it. I binge watched it And a buddy of mine told me about it. He goes, dude, you got to watch Ozark. He goes, I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. Just watch it. And it starts out just hitting. And then it doesn't. The best 2 episodes are the first and last. And the 8 episodes in between are hitting just as hard as anything else. But it was just the first and last are just, the first one sucks you right in. And the last one's got you like, I can't wait for season 2. And so many twists and turns and unexpected. And I don't know who wrote it, but they're brilliant. But do yourself a favor. I watched 10 episodes in 2 days. So I spent in 48 hours, 10 of it, I spent watching Ozark. And I got to sleep. So I slept too. So I didn't do much for 2 days. I just watched it because I wanted to watch. It was 5 in the morning. And I watched the first episode at like 10 p.m. And then I watched another episode. So it was about midnight. And I went up to my room and I was in the basement watching the first 2 episodes. That's all right. So my wife was asleep. And she wasn't really watching anything. So I said, I'm going to see if I can get to a 3rd episode. Next thing I know, it's 5 in the morning. I was like, I got to go to bed. I watched 5 episodes the first night. Then I woke up next morning and immediately put on episode 6. I just want to see it. That's how good it is, Ozark. Now, my show right now that I'm getting into, that I'm in season 2, is called Bloodline on Netflix. That show, I don't know who wrote that, but they was from a dysfunctional family. It reminds me a lot of my family, just in a different way. But it also, what it gets at is, I'm sorry, I get a little random, but Bloodline, the lead actor in that was the guy that was on Friday Night Lights. And I wish I knew his name, but he was the head football coach on the TV show Friday Night Lights, not the movie. That was Billy Bob Thornton. But the TV show, there's this family called the Rayburn family. And they're like a legacy family. They run this like hotel, this bed and breakfast, this inn in Key West, Florida. But they have so many secrets and so much dysfunction and drama that a lot of people know about, but they don't address. But they always keep talking about, we got to keep that Rayburn family name. But deep down, everybody knows the Rayburn family's fucked up. And it reminds me almost of my own family when my wife reminded me of this funny, it's not a funny story, it's a sad story, but it still is a story. And this story is going to tie in with the crazy stepdad story for this week. But it was after my brother passed away. I hadn't spoken to my mom in a couple months before my brother passed away. And then she called me and told me he died. So when a tragedy happens, you try to put everything aside and come together as a family. But I still knew there were still some lingering effects from this BuzzFeed article that came out 2 months prior to my brother passing away. Because in the BuzzFeed article, basically I did say my stepdad is an asshole. That's what I said. Now keep in mind, the BuzzFeed article is 8 pages long. If you want to read it, just go to BuzzFeed.com and search Gary Owen. It's the only thing they've done on me, so it's the only thing that's going to pop up. But it's 8 pages long, and I talk about my stepdad for a paragraph, and then I bring him up again later on for like 2 sentences. But you would think in my family that whole article was about my stepdad. But really it was a paragraph. The BuzzFeed article was about how this white guy became so embraced by black people in this country. But there's always a backstory. So he said, well, how are you with your family? And I said, my stepdad's an asshole. And I have to see my mom outside the house. I don't go over to the house when he's there. And the fact that I called him an asshole and the fact that I said he doesn't work and that bothers me. Oh, I have soiled the family name. So when my brother passed, my wife went over there and there was a bunch of women. I had a lot of aunts, a lot of relatives at my mom's house just supporting her. And that article came up. And at this point, everybody's trying to get along and everything. And they started to almost not gang up on my wife, but they were like, he didn't need to write that article. Some things need to be, kept inside the house and people don't need to voice that stuff. It always amazes me when you can abuse a kid and you just want them to hold that in their whole life. That's okay. But when you become an adult and you want to tell people, what happened, now you've betrayed the family name. And my wife was funny because they go, the Randall name, they was almost like Gary's trying to ruin the Randall name. He's tainting the family name. And my wife goes, he went to jail. Like, not for a week. He went to prison. And she looked at my mom like, okay, So this BuzzFeed article, let's just be honest. I think there's 31 comments on it. Like a couple thousand people read it, maybe. Not millions. It wasn't on the New York Times or anything like that. And nobody knows who my stepdad is. Most people, I bet you hardly anybody in Middletown, Ohio read it. So when she said, he like embarrassed the family and he tainted the family name, my wife's response was, he went to prison. That didn't do anything to the family name. And I asked my wife, I said, well, what did she say when you said that? My mom. And my wife was like, they act like it didn't happen. It's like they just put it away like, well, no, they just ignore it. And that's just their way. They just act like, oh, that didn't happen. So I thought that was funny that what's worse? The guy that's just, hey, he's an asshole, I wish he would get a job, or he went to prison. But that didn't hurt the family name. No. That was fine. No, but this article did. That's what did. And this takes me back. This also brings up something that I haven't addressed because of my sore throat and haven't been around. But last week, the big news everywhere was the Keaton Jones kid, the kid in Tennessee that got bullied, who just was in the car and gave this heartbreaking speech. And I do think he was telling the truth about that. But then come to find out, clearly his mom is an opportunist because they started a GoFundMe page and she wanted money. And also, his dad is a skinhead. It's in prison, a proud skinhead. And so people automatically went, I read something, fuck him and his racist parents. And I'm like, hold on. Let's temper this. You can't condemn the kid for what his parents are. If you go that route, I always tell people, if you was gonna judge me off my mom and dad, nobody would pay to see me do stand-up. And I think one thing we should be saying is, okay, if his dad is a skinhead and his mom clearly is not around black people, then, because she's got pictures with the rebel flag and, she had a kid, I don't know if she had multiple kids with this skinhead. So she's in that life, but what better way than to have this kid surrounded by successful black people? Because Delaney Walker from the Tennessee Titans invited him to a game. I know T.I. posted something. Snoop posted something. UFC guys posted stuff and invited him to events. What better way than just surround this kid with Latinos, blacks, different religion, different culture, different part of the country, and let him form his own opinion. It's got to be hard when you go home to that stuff. And even his mom, if the dad's in jail, have the mom come with him. And then she can be like, oh, just being generous and kind to change your feelings about people, And that kid, man, could definitely change his life. But I mean, unbelievable how much that could change everything for that kid. And I hated to see that with fuck him and his racist ass parents. I'm like, here's the problem with people making those comments like that is you're becoming the bullies now. We were so quick to come to this kid's aid without knowing all the facts. But at the same time, a lot of people were saying, well, he called a kid the N-word and that's why the kids were bullying him. No, we have no proof of that either. So now you're saying, okay, don't believe him when he said he got bullied, but now we're saying, but we do believe this. So in both cases, let's hold up. But it's emotional. You see a kid crying and he's clearly got some issues with the lip and the nose and stuff. And he looked like he had a surgery on his head. I mean, it looks like the kid's been through a lot. And he looks like he'd be a kid that'd be easy to pick on in elementary school. And what I had heard also is the area he lives in, the school is 95% white. So I don't know. They said the black kids are picking on him. I go, I find that hard to believe because there's just not enough black kids at the school. And other kids just aren't going to allow that to happen. I wouldn't think, and it wouldn't happen if the school was 95% black and a black kid said he got picked on and then come to find out it was a white kid that was picking on him. The black school ain't gonna let that happen. He's gonna pick on his kid like that. So it's hard. I mean, you don't know what the truth is. The best thing we could do is not, and I made a post about it too. I said, let's try to help the kid out and find out who the bullies were. And let's find out what's going on with them too. because I never liked, and when I was in school, it just turned my stomach when I saw kids getting picked on. It really did. Now I got bullied my sophomore year of high school. Well, I'm sorry, it was the summer from my sophomore, my junior year. And then it kind of bled in the beginning of my junior year, and then it just kind of faded away because I wouldn't even acknowledge the guy that was trying to bully me and start stuff with me. I never said two words to him. What happened was the summer going into my junior year of high school, so guys are turning 16, and this tells you there's this place called the Butler County Fair in Ohio. And I went to the Butler County Fair, and a guy that was 16 years old that I went to high school with was in the demolition derby at the Butler County Fair. And I was like, no way, Joe's got his driver's license in the demolition derby. I thought that was so cool because he was with adults. So a bunch of us got on the back of this guy's pickup truck, and we were standing there watching the demolition derby because we were in the field and we were watching demolition derby happen. I wasn't dressed like a redneck, basically. I didn't have cowboy boots. I didn't have Wranglers. I didn't have a cowboy hat. I didn't have a flannel. I had like Docker shorts on, flip-flops, and an Adidas t-shirt. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget what I wore. But I knew all the redneck dudes because I grew up in a trailer park, and some of them lived there. And, when I grew up, a lot of the redneck dudes gravitated to that clique in school. They gravitated to the FFA, Future Farmers of America. They gravitated to the redneck guys. So I knew all of them. So I got on the back of the truck, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And then the guy kicks me off his truck. He looked at me and goes, hey, man, this is my truck. And I go, okay. He goes, I didn't say you could stand on my truck. So I was like, all right. So I just got off the truck. And the good thing about it, he came up to me when the demolition derby was ending anyways. It was over with. So I just got off the truck and act like I didn't hear him, but I knew what he was getting at. He wanted to start a fight, wanted to start an argument. So I just walked away, and then as I'm walking away, he goes, hey. And I look back, he goes, don't get on my truck again. I was like, oh no, I really want to get back on your truck. And looking back on it, I remember standing there, and I was just having a good time, and we was all rooting for Joe. The guy's name was Joe. Like, come on, Joe. And I look back, and I remember the guy whose truck it was, and then two of his buddies. His buddies were egging him on because I could tell he was looking at me. And then I looked back on him, and I was like, oh, now I look back on it, they probably just like, hey, man, kick him off. He looks different than us. And then I saw him later on that summer. I was at a little convenience store called Jamie's Market. It was like our 7-Eleven in the area I lived in. And he came in there, and he kind of like said something to me again, like what's up, pussy? And I just ignored him. I didn't see him. And then the beginning of the school year came, and he was always trying to egg me on. Like I walked by, and he would like make a comment or something about me, but I always ignored him. I was like, it ain't worth it. Now here's the great thing. And I know this is going to sound awful, but I found the guy one day randomly on Facebook, and he's so fucking fat now, and his wife's fat, and his kids are fat, and he lives in a rundown house, and there's like a broken down car in the driveway, and the house needs painted. It looks exactly like I thought he would end up. And I took so much satisfaction in going to his Facebook page. And I was like, sloppy fat motherfucker, you kicked me off your truck. I was like this, you're still driving that piece of shit truck. It's been 25 years. I'm not supposed to think that, but I thought it. Oh, I go to his Facebook page 2 times a month just to make sure he's still fat and he's still unhappily married to his heavy wife. I know it sounds awful, but man, I felt so good when I saw how his life turned out. I was like, I'm the guy you should have kept on your truck, you fuck. So I know it sounds bad, but I'm so glad he kicked me off that truck. I would never acknowledge that guy in high school just because, I was a little scared of him. He was bigger than me. He was already a grown man. I wasn't yet. I can remember he had hair under his arms, and had a little mustache. And I hadn't hit puberty yet. So a little scared, but also I never wanted anybody to, I was happy at school. I was happy at school. And I didn't want anybody to take that away. And I knew I could just walk down a different hallway and see my friends. And most of the high school liked me. Goddamn, I was prom king. A lot of people must have liked me when I was in high school, but I just didn't want to deal with that. So I never acknowledged them. Whatever he called me, I just ignored it, kept it moving. And it's so bad too. My locker was in this hallway right where he hung out. Like it was my high school, like most high schools, different cliques hang in different hallways. We had this place called the Gallery, and that's where all the redneck dudes hung out. And then we had a hallway where most of the black kids hung out. Then we had a hallway where the jocks hung out. It was weird. Like we had all these different hallways at my school that where people. I could walk down any hallway and be cool. And I was cool where the quote unquote redneck, I don't want to call them rednecks, that might be a put down. The country dudes were hanging out. I was cool with most of them. It was just the one dude, man, he'd always make a comment. But I'm so happy his life turned out how it did. And I know I'm not supposed to think like that, but I'd be lying if I said, I wish he was doing well and had a fine-ass wife. No, I feel good about that. Oh, I felt so good when I found his page. That's the beauty of Facebook. It's a class union, but you also get to judge people, and you don't have to do it in front of them. You can just browse every now and then. But so I've missed 2 Bengal games since my last podcast. I missed the Bears and I missed the Vikings, which basically I didn't miss anything. Bengals only scored 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. I thought the Bears was going to be that game where we blow them out. We got a rookie quarterback. Bears are terrible. And we just didn't show up, period. That was that harked back to the mid-90s. I had nothing good to say about that game. Nothing. It was ugly. And then, and I'm loyal. Like I was in Houston for 2 weeks. I went to a sports bar, watched the game, left depressed. And then this past Sunday against the Vikings, which I did not expect them to win, but I didn't expect them to just be down 14-0 in the first few minutes. And Andy threw a pick 6 and Vikings drive right down the field on us. I mean, it was up. It looked like it could have been 96-0 if the Vikings would have kept doing what they was doing. I mean, it was up like 24-0 at one point in the first half. And it almost looked like Zimmer likes Marvin Lewis and almost was like, look, man, I'm going to play this real vanilla. I'm not going to do anything crazy. And I'm just going to, let you save face. And then Marvin came out and a report came out that he said that he was going to leave after this season. And the whole city rejoiced of Cincinnati. And then he kind of refuted it when he did his press conference Monday after the game. And he kind of said that that report didn't come from me. But where there's smoke, there's fire. There's no doubt he's gone after this season. There's just no doubt. Like the team has tuned him out. And now the question comes, who's going to be the coach next year of the Cincinnati Bengals? I have my own ideas, and people can think I'm crazy. I say my first choice, and people might think I'm crazy. A lot of people are saying Hugh Jackson from Cleveland. The rumor is in Cincinnati that the Bengals are willing to give a 3rd-round pick to the Browns for Hugh Jackson, which to me is mind-boggling because 2 years ago when the season was over, the rumor was, and when I say rumor, this stuff probably happened, but we got to say rumor because it didn't come out of anybody's mouth, was that Marvin and Hugh went into Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals. They went into his office and said, look, Marvin's going to coach for 2 more years, which would have been this year, would have been 2 years. And then Hugh's just going to take over. Hugh's going to remain offensive coordinator, and Marvin just wants 2 more years, and then he's out, regardless. And Mike Brown was like, sounds good, but he didn't want to put it in writing. So there wasn't any guarantees. So Hugh was like, I need some guarantees. Since he didn't get it, Cleveland came calling, and he left. I mean, when I say left, it was like the next week after this meeting he left, and he was the head coach of the Browns. So now I'm like, we could have had Hugh the last. If Hugh becomes the coach, that means we could have had him the last 2 years, which means the offense would have been clicking a lot better than it is now. We can't be much worse. And now you don't have to give anything up for him. He's already here, and he wants to be here. And the players like to play for him. So I wouldn't be upset if Hugh Jackson comes back to Cincinnati. I really wouldn't. I think the guys like him. He's a no-nonsense guy. And he just didn't have, he didn't have any of the tools in Cleveland to be successful. Nothing. I mean, when the GM quit, Cleveland's all into analytics. They're not into what makes a good ball player. They're just like, what's his 40? How much does he bench? And that's they don't go into the player. It's all analytics over there. Then Cleveland's problem is they can't get out of their own way. Their front office thinks they're smarter than they are. If you're that bad, it's like, hey man, we might need some outside help here. I need to work on some stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing Hugh, but my first choice, and people are going to think I'm crazy, is Todd Haley from Pittsburgh, the offensive coordinator. And the reason I say that is he seems to me like he was offensive coordinator when Arizona went to the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner. And he had to make that tough call when they had Matt Leinart. And then Kurt came in and balled a little bit. But everybody's like, well, Leinert's a young guy. And Leinart he didn't play extremely terrible. It's just he got hurt and Warner came in and just balled out. And a lot of people forget, everybody thought Kurt Warner was washed up when he went to Arizona because he left St. Louis. He went to the Giants and he was just there as a filler until Eli was ready. And then he went to Arizona. He literally thought, he was just a filler till Leinart was ready. And a lot of that had to do with Haley, I think. And he doesn't mind getting in guys' faces and talking shit. I like that about him. Then he goes to Kansas City, and he really didn't have the personnel to win there. And he was doing some good things there. And then he got let go, and then he goes to Pittsburgh. And they hated him in Pittsburgh in the beginning. But now that offense is so dynamic. I mean, and one thing you could say, well, they got Antonio Brown. They got Le'Veon Bell. I mean, Bengals got A.J. Green. Bengals got Joe Mixon. I mean, I don't know. Antonio Brown, A.J. Green. I mean, this year, of course, you take Antonio Brown. But any other year besides this year, I mean, it's like Kobe or Jordan. Which one you want? They're both great. So that argument doesn't hold up for me like other people. But I like Haley, and he's not going to take any shit. And we almost need a guy like that. And let him bring his guys in that he's comfortable coaching with. And the Bengals might need a little discipline. They might need it. Because it looks to me like the defense gets worn down in the second half. And I don't know if that's because they're on the field too long in the first and the offense is doing a lot of 3-and-outs or they're out of shape. I don't know. And the offense, it seems like we don't make any adjustments at halftime or even in the second quarter. We come out 9 times out of 10 this season, and we have a decent second drive. If we don't get a field goal or we don't score a touchdown, it seems like we drive on people. And then they figure us out. And then we don't do anything in the second half. And when Hugh was here, it wasn't like that. We responded. A lot of people are going to say Hugh Jackson. I wouldn't mind Hugh, but Hugh would probably be my second choice. My first choice would be Todd Haley, and you're picking him off the Steelers. You're taking it right from your rival, and he wants to be a head coach. But he's going to want some control, and hopefully Mike Brown will give it to him if they go that route. And then my third choice will be Josh McDaniels from New England. Because I think we need an offensive-minded coach here because we got too many offensive weapons not to utilize them. Defense, to me, is always more instinct. And defense, to me, is always, are you motivated to play for each other and your coach? But offense, you need a good coordinator. And I think we need to get rid of Gunther and Lazor, and then Marvin and just overhaul it and bring some people in. And might take some hiccups in the beginning of the season, but I think if the team wants to play for the coaches that are there, Bengals could do some stuff next year. It's funny when you have a down year and people just count you out. And it's funny, just a few tweaks. Look what's going on in LA right now with the Rams. And it's just a few things. I mean, look at New Orleans. Just this week, New Orleans went, it's just the first time maybe ever 2 running backs on the same team got voted in the Pro Bowl. They were terrible last year. Nobody expected to be in the playoffs this year. Nobody count them out, but you go on a little streak, and winning is contagious, just like losing is contagious. And I don't expect the Bengals to even be in the ball game these next 2 weeks. Detroit's coming here, and then the Bengals go to Baltimore, and Baltimore is probably going to be playing for a playoff spot on that game. It's going to be interesting. Now that the Bengals are out, I got to pick a new team that I'm rooting for. I don't even know, dude. I don't know who I want to win. I mean, I like Philly just because I like Carson Wentz, and I like that they balled out all season. But, I like the Rams too. I mean, I don't know. I know if New England or Pittsburgh does not go to the Super Bowl, whoever comes out of the NFC is going to be favored by far. Because there's to me, it's a big drop off after that. Because nobody's going to take Jacksonville serious with Blake Bortles as their quarterback, and if Leonard Fournette is 100%, but Jacksonville is the closest thing I've seen to, the Baltimore Ravens when they had Trent Dilfer. And the defense just carried them the whole way. And everybody kept saying, Dilfer ain't going to do nothing. And come to playoffs, he ain't going to do nothing. And they was like, we really don't need to do anything. As long as he don't turn it over, we're fine. We'll handle it the rest of the way. We're good. So, the playoffs going to be fun, man. And nobody knows. New England's the only one that seems to be like, okay, we know what we're doing. Kansas City lost like 5 in a row, and then now they've won 2 in a row. And so they look like they're somewhere right in the ship. Like I said, Buffalo's still hanging around. Baltimore's still hanging around. Chargers, they lost a tough one last week, but they're still hanging around. Detroit's still not out of it. It's funny, Green Bay's out of it. They brought Aaron Rodgers back one game, and once they lost, like, all right, you're back on IR. And nobody's even mad at him. Like, we get it, dude. Set his ass down. He came in for that one game, like, look, we're going to give this a run. Once they lost, like, all right, we're out. Sounds good. Also, my Super Bowl picks. I haven't given my Super Bowl picks. I've been picking Philly for so long. Now that Carson Wentz is down, I'm not sure anymore. Let me do the AFC. It's the Patriots until Brady decides to not age or start age. I'm sorry, until Brady decides to age. And now Gronk's healthy. They're scary, man. They just lock in. So the Patriots in the AFC and the NFC. Man, I might pick somebody in the NFC and they might not even make the playoffs at this point. That's what's scary. I can't get on the Minnesota thing. Oh, the bad thing is the Rams on the West Coast, I don't get to watch them as much as other teams. You know what? I'm going to say New England and Minnesota this week. And if you think about it, my picks have been pretty consistent all year. I started with the Raiders. Clearly, I was way off base on that one. Went to the Chiefs when they went on their run, and then I went to the Steelers and Patriots. So it's pretty much been 4 teams all year in the AFC. And if you look at the teams I picked, they're all going to be in the playoffs. And we know Pittsburgh and New England is, and Kansas City looks like they're going to be in the playoffs too. So we'll see. And then, but the NFC, I had Dallas at one point. And I had Atlanta and Minnesota now. And, I think at one time I was like, look out for Seattle. I didn't pick them. They're falling apart. And Philly, man, until Carson Wentz went down, Philly would have been consistent, but it's been all over the place in NFC. Who knows? All right. So this week I'm going to go with Minnesota and New England. Yeah, that's what I'm going with this week. All right. Before I get out of here, this is the last podcast before Christmas. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. If there's another holiday I don't know about, let me know. But now I'm at an age now where Christmas is cool, but it ain't about Christmas morning anymore. It's more about Christmas Day and the family comes over. Because when your kids are little, they're just so excited about Christmas, and you can't wait to see their faces. Man, I got one other house and 2 kids are teenagers. If they don't get what they want, they disappointed. And they don't even hide it. Oh, I didn't get that. I really wanted that. When their kids are like, spread their gifts out, and then you get the video camera, like, I got this, and I got this. My daughter was the best. I got this doll, I got these barrettes, I got these cards, I got this and this. She was so excited about everything. She'd lay it out. Now, nah. I was looking for the Yeezys. I didn't get the Yeezy shoes. I didn't get them. It's only $425. That's it. Okay, I thought I earned it. So I just know they'll open up all the gifts and be great gifts, and they don't get with the Yeezys. Oh, very disappointing. All right, thanks, Dad, for nothing. But I hope everybody has a good Christmas. I'm looking forward to Christmas. I'm in Huntsville the 21st to the 23rd at Stand Up Live in Alabama, one of the few cities I've never been to. And then I get Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the 26th and 27th off. But then the 28th and 29th, I'm in Hammond, Indiana at the Horseshoe Casino. And the 30th, I'm in Detroit, Michigan with D.L. Hughley. And then New Year's Eve, I'm in Dallas, Texas at the Verizon Theater for the Gary Owen Takeover 2. Second year in a row, I'm in Dallas at the Verizon. It's one of my favorite theaters in the country. Sound is good. Visuals are good. We're just going to bring in New Year's. But I'll do another podcast before that date happens. All right, y'all. Well, this is the Gary Owen Get Some podcast, and we'll see you next week. Have a great Christmas.